Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining us today. I'm stealing the mic because it's undefended by an armed soldier. I know it's not usual for the spouse of the retiring officer to seize the moment, but I felt before Terry came in the room would be the safest time to do it. For those of you who don't know, I'm Terry's husband, Patrick. Most of you know me as the General's arm candy. I wanted to just give a few little historical context to today, if I could. I first entered the Army July 5th, 1978 on the plane at West Point. So between that day and this day, I have just shy of 48 years relationship with our Army. I have served in the active Army as an active officer. I've served in the Reserve. I've served in the Guard. I am the spouse to a combat veteran, father to a combat veteran, brother to a combat veteran, and a combat veteran myself. I have served as a cadet at West Point, as an ROTC cadet, and again in the active, the Guard, and the Reserve. So in terms of seeing what our Army looks like from every conceivable perspective, I think I have that covered. I know what it is to get a phone call at 2 a.m. from our Army Field Hospital from a nurse informing that my son has been shot, but he's okay. I know what it is to get the phone call from my son years later to say, hey, Dad, I ran off and got married, and I deployed tomorrow. And then 3 days later, get the call informing us he'd been wounded again. So I've got a pretty good wealth of experience with what it is to serve. And I like to tell this one tale at any event that Terry and I host, and since I'm paying for the refreshments, I get to do that. I have 4 brothers, and when we were born, we inherited a trust fund. It was an insanely well-endowed trust fund. And so all of us for our life had opportunities that most people just don't get. And when you have that kind of silver spoon, there are people who envy you and people who begrudge you. But myself and my brothers, we all felt a responsibility to honor that trust fund. And if any of you have ever lucky enough to be the beneficiary of a trust fund, you know that the fundamental rule is never touch the principal. Just live off the interest. And as soon as you can, recontribute to the trust fund. But the trust fund I'm talking about isn't financial. The name of that trust fund was opportunity. And it was the trust fund that came to us when we were born here in this country, and the opportunities that came with being born as an American. Investing in that trust fund are people in this room. If you are wearing a uniform or have ever worn a uniform or are the spouse to someone who wears a uniform or the child of someone who wears a uniform, you continue to invest in that trust fund every day. I have all 4 of our grandchildren are here today, and they get to enjoy that trust fund because of the efforts of all the people in this room. And I just wanted to say, bring all this, to close, to tie it all together before we get going. Thank you for your investments in that trust fund. Thank you for opening the door for the next generation. Thank you for standing up for the things that make us who we are. And also, Terry and I are insanely grateful for your roles that you have had in our career together. And I know what it takes to be twice the citizen for some of the people in this room. And it's just an insanely great and humbling honor today that you're here for this, for us, for our family. And I just want to thank you for your service, your sacrifice, your dedication, your professionalism, and your commitment. And with that, I will surrender the mic back to whoever I stole it from. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Staff Sergeant Richard S. Eaton Jr. Army Reserve Center. This building was rededicated on April 24th, 2024 in honor of Staff Sergeant Eaton, who served as a counterintelligence agent within the Military Intelligence Readiness Command and is one of 6 soldiers in the command to pay the ultimate sacrifice during the global war on terror. This building also serves as the headquarters for the Military Intelligence Readiness Command, A fitting location for a ceremony today as we recognize the 7th Commanding General of the Military Intelligence Readiness Command, Brigadier General Terry Borras, on the occasion of her retirement from the United States Army. Please stand for the presentation of the colors and the arrival of the official party. Lieutenant General Potter defers honors to Brigadier General Borras.
Preset horse. Order. Horse.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the singing of the national anthem by Mrs. Elizabeth Shapiro and the invocation by Chaplain Lee.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets roared out, the bombs bursting in air, give proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Colors for arch. Would you join me in prayer? Almighty God, we gather today in a profound gratitude to honor the distinguished 41 years military service of the Brigadier General Terry Borras. We give thanks for her steadfast leadership, her unwavering integrity, and extraordinary intellect she has brought to her demanding role as a military intelligence officer. For over 4 decades, she has been a vital shield for our nations. Operating often in an unseen space, her keen insight, strategic visions, and tireless dedication have protected our armed forces and secured our freedom. She is born with the heavy responsibility of command with a quiet strength and serving as a trailblazer and a profound inspiration for all who have served alongside her. Lord, as she stepped away from the remarkable military service and entered into the new chapter of her life, retiree, we ask for your continued blessing upon her and her husband, Patrick, and their children and their grandchildren. Provide her the seamless transition filled with the peace and the joy and the well-deserved rest she has so rightfully earned. May the profound legacy of tremendous military service continue to inspire the men and women who follow in her footsteps. Help us to go forth with a renewed purpose, inspired by her example of selfless service. Bless this ceremony. Bless all those who gather here to celebrate her lasting legacy and to continue to protect all men and women who serve our great nation. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. On behalf of the command team of the Military Intelligence Readiness Command, Brigadier General C. Ryan Gunst, Command Sergeant Major R. Travis Ransom, and Command Chief Warrant Officer 5, Bill Davis, it is my distinct privilege to welcome you to today's ceremony. In addition to this being a location significant to Brigadier General Borras, this date, March 13th, is also significant. March 13th, 1985 was Private Terry Borras' first day in the Army. 41 years later, March 13th, 2026, marks Brigadier General Terry Borras' last day in the U.S. Army. We would like to offer a special welcome to our host for today's ceremony, Lieutenant General retired Laura A. Potter, Brigadier General Borras' family members, including her husband Patrick, sons Sean, Liam, and Ian, daughter Shannon, daughters-in-law Paige and Alyssa, grandchildren Regan, Maeve, Isla, and Connell, as well as the multiple family members and friends here with us today and those watching remotely, including her son Connor, and sisters Martha and Waleska. We extend a warm welcome to the esteemed members of the foreign diplomatic community in attendance, including defense attaché officers representing 38 different countries, as well as our distinguished guests in attendance today, including Miss Melissa Hathaway, Miss Diane Randon, Major General Diane Del Rosso, Major General Jake Kwan, Mr. Dean Newman, Mr. Stephen Sullivan, Major General retired Tom Deal, Major General retired Deb Katulich, Major General retired Dustin Schultz, Major General retired Bo Young, Rear Admiral retired Alan Reyes, Ms. Shirothy Picard, Brigadier General Melissa Adamski, Brigadier General Evelyn Laptuk, Brigadier General Tamika Seabury, Mr. William Whitsitt, Brigadier General retired Bob Miknowitz, Brigadier General retired Christy Nixon, Brigadier General retired Aaron Walter, Brigadier General retired Irene Zoppi, Mr. Prescott Fentress, Miss Elizabeth Millard Hard, Miss Denise Frick, Command Chief Warrant Officer 5 John Horn, Command Chief Warrant Officer 5 LaShawn White, Command Sergeant Major Ronald Simon, Command Sergeant Major retired Frank Olmsted, Sergeant Major Scott Holzerland, Sergeant Major Stephen Jones, Sergeant Major Tony Tabesh, and Sergeant Major retired Julie Guerrera. We thank you all for attending today's ceremony. At this time, Brigadier General Florin Tamayak, Dean of the International Defense Attaché Corps and Chairman of the Defense Attaché Association, and Colonel Peter Neuenhaus, Dean of the Washington Association of Military Attachés, would like to recognize Brigadier General Borras' contributions to the defense attaché community.
Good afternoon. I don't know if this occasion gives me a lot of touchy moments or is so hot here. But anyway, I'm glad that I'm the first one delivering the speech. And I thought it will be easy for me to prepare a speech about General Borras, but it wasn't. There are so many things to say about her. Too many things. So I will not stick on the professional side. So I will speak about the person, Terry Borras. And Patrick, by the way, thanks so much again for your motivational speech. Thank you. So dear General Borras, congratulations, first of all, on your retirement and our best wishes for the road ahead. Distinguished generals, guests, friends, beyond the rank, the medals, and the uniform, today we honor also the human being behind the title. Those who have worked with General Borras, including myself, speaking on behalf of Defense Attaché community, know that your strength has never been measured only in strategy or command, but also in your character and personality. You have treated people with humility and respect, and you never forgot that the true strength of any mission and any country lies in the people who carry it out. Your kindness in different moments, your steady presence in time of uncertainty, your willingness to join our receptions and events on different occasions, and your ability to listen carefully and respond to our requests are qualities that have left a lasting mark on everyone fortunate enough to meet and know you. We are truly proud and deeply honored to work with you and to know you. Your leadership, integrity, and unwavering commitment have consistently shown that the cooperation between the United States and our countries is not only strong, but enduring and meaningful. In a time when the world faces complex and constant challenges, the importance of trusted partnerships cannot be overstated. Through your dedication and vision, you have helped ensure that the bond between our nations remains steadfast, guided by the shared values, mutual respect, and the common commitment to peace, stability, and progress. Your efforts remind us that the true partnership is built not on only agreements, but on confidence, friendship, and the shared belief in a better future. As you step into retirement, we celebrate not only the distinguished officer, but also the remarkable person you are, a person whose integrity, warmth, and generosity will continue to inspire all of us, long after the uniform is set aside. General Borras, on behalf of the Attaché Corps, thank you for your service, your leadership, friendship, and your personal example. Please allow me, on behalf of our Defense Attaché Association and International Defense Attaché community in Washington, D.C., to offer you our symbol of gratitude and recognition for all your partnership. Thank you.
General Borras, the Dutch way or the diplomatic way? It's your day today, so Dutch? The Dutch way? Okay. Dear generals, colleagues, guests of General Borras, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Colonel Peter Nieuwenhuis, and I'm the Netherlands Military Attaché and also the Dean of the Washington Association of Military Attachés. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to say some words. I only have 3 minutes, so I have to be brief. Before I really start, I have to mention that today, as we all know, is the official retirement ceremony of Brigadier General Terry Borras. But to be fair, it's for us, military attachés, almost impossible to mention General Borras without having Patrick in mind. So we see them as a hardened and highly valued duo, a team. So Patrick, this is also for you. But in practice, that will mean if I say something nice, yes? If I say something bad, okay. So we just witnessed a speech by the Dean of the Defense Attaché Association, Brigadier Florin. And that's okay. Brigadier Borras and Patrick were very welcome guests and friendly guests everywhere. Defense attachés, Air Force, Navy, you name it. But in the end, they're ours. Army, WAMA. And we feel that it's the same for you. A lot of speakers were going to say something about General Borras, how good she is. I will say something different. Yes, General Borras is indeed an excellent officer, dedicated, talented, creative, and inspiring. But there is more than that we, military attachés, see and especially feel much more. General Borras was a champion of partnerships. She saw and sees the vital importance of international cooperation, a perfect representative for the US Army. She managed to bring us in and to bring us in, and above all, to bind us forever. Because of their warmth, their openness, their kindness, their sincerity, they have been accepted not only to our midst, professionally, but to our hearts, personally. And we feel that's 100% mutual. Terry and Patrick, thank you for that. A long time ago, when I was commanding an artillery battalion in the Netherlands, I think it was 50 or 60 years ago, I was visited by an Austrian general. And after the visit, when he said goodbye, he gave me a small gift, and he told me that warriors always give each other a knife or a dagger. And I always remember that and apply that where appropriate. Here, however, a knife or a dagger isn't in proportion to what we feel. But to stay in the spirit of that thought, I brought something a little bit bigger. I would like to present General Terry Borras, on behalf of all the WAMA members, a sword with a personalized inscription. Thank you for everything that you've done for us. All the support we received from you, from both of you. And to conclude, and as mentioned earlier to you, you are always welcome throughout the world into our houses of the lifelong friends you made here.
At this time, Major General Dustin Schultz would like to offer remarks honoring Brigadier General Borras' exemplary service to the profession of arms.
Terry, family, and I would say all of the family, because you have a military family, and you have a beautiful family here, Terry, that love you and adore you. So I have the good fortune of dropping in and talking to you quickly about determination, grit, and impact. Did I define Terry Borras? Each of you have probably spent time with Terry. I had the good fortune when I was a young major and then lieutenant colonel of engaging with Terry. And Terry was always wonderfully direct, wonderfully about protocol. When I first met her, I had no idea that she had started as an enlisted soldier and would be here today after 40 years of service. Incredible impact. I also, I've got to say, was so clueless at the time that I didn't know that she was Boricua of heritage. It's Puerto Rican, which also meant a lot to me when I had the good fortune of being a commander in Puerto Rico. Because what I will tell you, if you have Boricua blood in you, you are made of something different. And I know this of Terry. So sometimes you guys get to talk to people about the Grinch and the Grinch who stole Christmas. But at the end of the story, you find out that the Grinch's heart grew 3 times and was bigger than the rest. I will tell you, if you have Boricua blood in you, you have a heart that's 3 times bigger than the rest of us. You have desire, you have determination. And Terry, you have shown that to me regularly in my career, but I think you have also shown it to this family here and those that are not here about what you have done, but more importantly, the legacy that you are leaving, a legacy of impact. And it is with great honor today that I bring to you, actually, the congressional record. Terry has been recognized in the House of Representatives by Honorable Chrissy Houlihan of Pennsylvania, which I actually come from the Pennsylvania line, Pennsylvania Deutsch. And it was a tribute to Brigadier General Aida T. Borras. And in the congressional record is your history and your impact. And it is a great day that today is the day that I get to help the world know that you are memorialized also in the congressional records of having an impact on the world, having a career of excellence, and being made of tougher stuff. It's my honor to give this to you today, and more importantly, it's my honor to call you my friend.
Yes, ma'am. At this time, we invite Lieutenant General Potter and Brigadier General Borras' husband, Patrick, to take their positions for the presentation of retirement honors. Please remain seated while honors are presented. The President of the United States, authorized by Act of Congress July 9, 1918, has awarded the Distinguished Service Medal to Brigadier General Aida T. Borras for exceptionally meritorious service to the government and a duty of great responsibility as the Assistant Deputy Chief of Staff, G2 Intelligence, Headquarters Department of the Army. Brigadier General Borras demonstrated extraordinary leadership and strategic influence across the Army intelligence enterprise. She served simultaneously as the Military Deputy to the G2, the Army Reserve Senior Advisor to the G2, Program Advisor for Military Intelligence, and Chair of the Reserve Military Intelligence General Officer Steering Committee, on behalf of the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security. She led key governance bodies, including the Army's Protection and Collection Management Board and the Strategic Effects General Officer Steering Committee, ensuring intelligence equity shaped future force design and information advantage doctrine. Additionally, she served as the Army's lead military diplomat within the National Capital Region, representing the Army across the military diplomatic community and strengthening trust-based partnerships that advanced United States interests globally. Her exceptional service unified strategic effects, modernization, and enterprise intelligence readiness, leaving a legacy of transformation, trust, and total force excellence. Brigadier General Borras' exemplary performance of duty is in keeping with the finest traditions of military service and reflects great credit upon her, the Office of the Deputy Chief of Staff, G2, and the United States Army. Signed, the Honorable Daniel P. Driscoll, Secretary of the United States Army. Lieutenant General Potter is now presenting Brigadier General Borras the Presidential Certificate of Appreciation from President Donald J. Trump, Commander-in-Chief, in honor of her service to our nation. Lieutenant General Potter is now presenting the Department of the Army Certificate of Appreciation in recognition of Brigadier General Borras' retirement from the United States Army. Signed, Lieutenant General Robert Harder, Chief of Army Reserve, Commanding General of United States Army Reserve. On the occasion of retirement of this distinguished officer, we also recognize the outstanding service of her husband, Patrick, who is presented with the United States Army Certificate of Appreciation for his faithful and devoted service. His dedicated support to Brigadier General Borras made possible such a lasting contribution to our nation.
Hold on, I just got an audible, because I should have done this before. Randy, come on up here and get in this picture. Randy and Patrick have been really good friends for years, and I know that would mean a lot to Trophy Husband Club. Get on this side.
Headquarters Department of the Army Special Orders. By order of the Secretary of the Army, the following general officer is retired. Brigadier General Aida T. Borras. Lieutenant General Potter is now presenting the United States flag to Brigadier General Borras for her faithful service to her country. Congratulations to Brigadier General Aida T. Borras, United States Army, retired. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present Lieutenant General Laura Potter.
Well, as a retired person, I can say it's a great day to be an Army soldier. It's a great day to be in this uniform, because I don't get to wear it that often anymore. And it's great that I still fit in the uniform. Very excited about all those things. So, distinguished guests, and I'm not going to name all of you again, but for all of you that are here, thank you so much. And for those that you represent, we got a lot of senior folks in the room, but we have soldiers in the room as well. And for everyone that's here, I know there's dozens and dozens of your peers and colleagues that couldn't be here today that love Terry Borras just as much as we all do. I'd like to particularly thank our allies and partners, and of course our family and friends, and then virtual guests who are not watching live, but I know will watch the recorded version as their time permits. So thank you all for attending today's ceremony marking Brigadier General Terry Borras' 4 decades of service to our nation. I'm really, really honored to be here, and I know how much this ceremony means to the entire family, to both families, as General Schultz alluded to. So Terry, thank you so much. It's an incredible honor that you asked me to be part of this special day. I'd like to thank the awesome MIRC team inside the wire and outside the wire who put this on. I know that this couldn't have happened in the high-class manner it is without your help. And Major Bateman, you're about 20 minutes or so away from a stress-free afternoon. So I'd like to start by recognizing the most important people in Terry's life, her family. Terry's parents, her father Manny, who was a soldier in the Army, and her mother Zulma Borras, are no longer with us, but I know how much of an impact they had on her life, on the values that she's lived by, and on her determination to be a successful human being. Her sisters, Martha Luzzi and Waleska Roche, could not join us today, but have supported her along this journey as well. Now on to her immediate family. And I'm going to start with Patrick. Many of you in the room know Patrick just as well, if not better than I do. But Patrick, Kehoe and Terry's relationship definitely did not begin as a love at first sight moment. Patrick was living his best life as an infantryman at Fort Bragg, building a first-of-its-kind male-only unit to provide tailored intel support to our Special Operation Forces units, our SOF units. And thanks to the Army's precision HR system at the time, PFC Terry, not Aida, not Terry with a Y, not Terrence, but Terry Borras, came down on orders and ended up PCSing from Korea to Fort Bragg to work in Patrick's elite, first-of-its-kind, high-speed, very dangerous unit. So in Terry walks, with the traditional private first-class swagger and duffel bag drag, loaded with her bags and her gear, glad to breathe a sigh of relief several time zones away with jet lag, able to finally drop those bags in a welcoming environment. Patrick looked up from his desk. Now this, keep in mind, this was our Special Forces community in the 80s, so give him a little bit of slack for my quote I'm about to give you. He said to her, and I quote, "Miss, don't even drop your bags. You will not be staying here. This is a serious place, and we go to serious places, and we do serious, dangerous work where people can get hurt." And then he immediately dismissed her from his office with a, "You can go now." Well, that's not really how the Army HR system worked, particularly back in the good old-fashioned paper days. And so he was told without any uncertain doubt that he was stuck with Terry Borras for the time being. So he put her to work, doing none of that dangerous stuff, but like back office work and some translations when necessary. But in fact, her talent quickly rose to the top. And she was, no kidding, needed for a deployment, and she gained a reputation as a tough, resourceful, competent, and determined soldier. She ended up being plucked up to the Special Forces command level based on her talents, and she continued to earn this awesome reputation. Patrick, meanwhile, continued to earn his reputation with Terry for just being a jerk. Not a recipe for building a life together. So a few years later, Terry went green to gold and ended up in Washington, D.C. at George Washington University, the first, by the way, in her family to graduate from college. And Patrick had gotten out of the Army by then and relocated to D.C. a few years prior. Their D.C. relationship started off on a much better footing, and the rest is history, and you can ask him for more details at the reception. Patrick has been a stalwart supporter of Terry throughout her career, keeping the household together during their separations and being a great father to their kids. Patrick, thank you for being such a wonderful Army spouse. Terry and Patrick have 5 children. Son Sean, a staff sergeant, an Army Ranger and decorated war veteran, and his wife Paige, and their daughters. His son Liam, his wife Alyssa, and their daughters, and his son Connor, who cannot join us today, and his son Ian and daughter Shannon. Throughout her career, Terry has been a dedicated and loving mother, devoting as much of her time as Army life would allow to her children. She was passionate about raising good people who could forge their own path, with, of course, her help and guidance along the way, wanted or not. To the kids, thank you so much for being such a great supporter to both of your parents. Army life can be full of separation and stress, and I know you all endured quite a bit of that. And please know that when Terry was not with you physically or was not able to be there for a special moment or something, she was always with you in her heart and with you mentally along every step of your journey, and I know she still will be going forward. So now I'd like to turn your attention to Terry. As many of you have already heard, her story is truly remarkable, with 40 years in uniform, 7 as an enlisted soldier rising to the rank of staff sergeant. And I think that's part of the reason in all the decisions she made as a more senior person, she always had the needs of the soldier forefront in her mind. And then 33 years as an officer. She enlisted in the Army as a 96 Bravo intelligence analyst in 1986. And I always love to find, when I do a speech, like a no kidding, you can't make that up connection, so here it is. So in 1996, she was in the G2 of the Republic of Korea U.S. Combined Field Army at Camp Red Cloud. And little did she or I know that her team's analysis was being consumed by Second Lieutenant Randy Potter's Field Artillery Unit down the road. You can't make that up. Well, anyway, like a lot of people did back in the day, you go to Korea for 1 year. So after a year, she PCS'd to Fort Bragg. And after the rocky start that you heard about earlier, she really thrived at Fort Bragg for the next 5 years, with multiple deployments across the Southcom AOR that leveraged her intellectual expertise and her linguistic expertise. And those operations included Operation Just Cause in Panama. Her 33 years as an officer included active guard and reserve assignments, and I will not cover them all in detail. But there are two paths that she walked simultaneously that made her the professional that you see before her. First, she's a seasoned intelligence officer with expertise in all of our MI disciplines and assignments that span tactical, operational, and strategic intelligence positions, both analytical and leadership. Of all those positions, she treasured commanding the most: the Army Reserve Intelligence Support Center, or ARISC, Brigade Command, and certainly the Military Intelligence Readiness Command. The second theme is that there is a strong information operations component to her career. Selected for Functional Area 30 Information Operations, serving as the S3 of the Northeast Information Operations Center in Fort Devens, the Senior Army I.O. Planner at Multinational Force Iraq, and the commander of the Army Reserve element of 1st Information Operations Command. And then finally, the Director G39 of the Office of the Chief of the Army Reserve. And through these years, the threats to our national security that are evolving and have been evolving in the information space have grown into a passion for Terry that is driving this next chapter of her life. She's already recognized as a prolific writer and speaker on this topic, and it's one of the most consequential threats to our national security. In the latter part of her career, Terry had 3 hugely impactful assignments that I had a chance to observe her in personally, that I'm just going to touch on briefly. She was the commanding general of the MIRC, 7th commanding general of the MIRC, responsible for the training and readiness of all of our reserve intelligence soldiers across the globe. Terry and I overlapped while I was the commanding general of the Intelligence Center of Excellence, and I had a chance to watch firsthand how she drove the training and readiness of our soldiers, from the institutional army to exercises to operations across the globe. She was also passionate about leader development. As her friend Dusty noted to me, from her ARIS command to brigade command to the MIRC, she showed a unique ability to get into her subordinate leaders' minds and inspire them to grow and lead by example, just as she does every day. The second reflection is her time as the Deputy Commanding General of the Southern European Task Force, Africa, CTAF-AF, very unfortunate acronym, in Vicenza, Italy, which is not a traditional position for an intelligence officer, so it's a real testament she was chosen for that position. I had a chance recently to talk to her commanding general at the time, Lieutenant General retired Andy Rowling, who said that Terry was just, simply put, awesome. She never complained, she kept the staff on its toes, and she forged deep ties with the community. During Exercise African Lion in Morocco, she ran the Joint Task Force headquarters through its tactical scenarios with the calmness, tenacity, and determination that the multinational staff, including General Rowling, was extremely impressed with. Colonel Mark Denton, the 207th MI Brigade commander during that exercise, who could not be here with us today because he had to travel overseas, said that to earn the respect of 30 nations from mostly across the African continent, is an incredible feat. But to do it while remaining the most caring and empathetic leader he has known is her true legacy. Lastly, her time as the military deputy to the Headquarters Department of the Army, G2. I recruited her out of the CTAF-AF position, and I'm not sure she was all that happy with the timing. I do think she was excited to come back home, but maybe not when I wanted it. But she showed up, ready to work, and embraced 2 parts of her portfolio. She had a lot of things in her portfolio, but I'm going to talk about 2, beyond my wildest expectations. First, she and Patrick devoted, as you've heard a little bit about today, professional and personal time to building and maintaining relationships with our allies and partners. And I've seen several Deputy G2s do this job, and some of them show up, and some of them really do the job. And for Terry and Patrick, it was professional and personal. And that's why they were so effective. In countless events in DC and beyond, Terry and Patrick were the face of the US Army. And I cannot tell you how many events I went to with Randy, where the two of them would recount details of many of the people in the room, very fond memories of trips they'd been on or discussions they'd had about how we're modernizing our armies. And she'd be able to share with me those personal stories and the nuances of our mill-to-mill relationships, and oftentimes even beyond just the Army relationship. And when Randy and I went to events that the two of them did not show up to, which was very rare, before an attaché, and you guys will know this, I better see some head shaking, before a lot of you would ask me anything about business or pleasure, they would first say, hey, where are Terry and Patrick? Simply put, Terry and Patrick were a masterful, dynamic duo who will be missed by the entire attaché community, and I know what she put into it will be missed by the G2 team and the Army headquarters as well. The second part of the job in her portfolio that I think is meaningful to her, and certainly was to me, she served as the chair of what we call the Protection and Collection Management Board, or the PCMB, throughout her tenure in the G2. Those letters are a mouthful, but so important for our Army, the Joint Force, and the nation. That PCMB is an inter-Army forum with members from across the institutional, acquisition, and operational Army, the Department of War, the intelligence community, and its purpose is to drive multidisciplined collection and protection to secure our Army modernization and our Army leaders' priorities. One of her PCMB colleagues, Kat Lankers, here today, shared that Terry's passion for this mission from the start was that she placed emphasis on accountability, transparency, and teamwork. And those set the conditions to enable the delivery of capability uncompromised. No small task given the determination of our adversaries and the challenge to deliver capability uncompromised to the Army and to the Joint Force that is shared by so many stakeholders across the community. This requires integration and effective communications, and Kat recalls her as a consummate integrator. She said Terry challenged them all with a thought piece, which was really a visualization slide that not only allowed stakeholders to become part of the conversation, but sort of forced them to become part of the conversation. And if you've been in the room with Terry Borras, if she wants you to be part of the conversation, you're going to be part of the conversation. She was a fierce advocate for joint and intel community involvement, fighting for a joint PCMB, and she was an extraordinary consensus builder, embracing the discussion, the dialogue, and the exchange, even if that meant the agenda went to hell in a handbasket and nobody was permitted a bathroom break. The administrative assistant to the Secretary of the Army approved this charter renewal in January 2026, and I think this is a testament to the relevance the forum had and the power that grew under Terry's tenure. It was your leadership and inspiration and the forum you created that allowed that to happen. I could go on and on with countless examples of what Terry did. She was always a friend and mentor to me in the last 2 or 3 jobs that I had, and I always respected the fact that Terry would give it to me straight. And when she did that, she always had the best interest of whatever the matter at hand was at heart. Terry, you've left an indelible mark on the Army and the Joint Force, intelligence, operations, information operations, and throughout it all by your outstanding, empathetic leadership. I know with the 40 years of experience and expertise you've amassed, your future is already very powerful and is going to be even more powerful in the months and years going forward. So I'd like to thank you, Patrick, your children and grandchildren, your extended family, your attaché family, your MI family, and your big Army family for all that you have given to this Army. And we want to wish you the very best in your next chapter. You certainly deserve it. Always out front, this will defend.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brigadier General, retired Terry Borras.
Keep it together. Yeah. So I had this great speech but as Friday the 13th will attest, I forgot my reading glasses. There you go. The ugly glasses. Oh, there we are. Okay. Actually, I wanted to start by saying thank you to the aid row. I did not want to forget you guys, period. Our life depends on you and everything that you do for us. And I wanted to recognize you first for the impact that you have had during the time that you spent it with me. And I appreciate you guys more than you will ever know. So thank you. So good morning, and thank you all for being here today. This is kind of weird that I'm reading from a script because, as you guys know, I like to just wing it. But I can't do that today. I just can't. To look around and see some of the faces here is just amazing. You honor me, you honor my family by being here. And I could go through every name and have a story, but I won't because it's warm. I won't do that. But I just wanted to say thank you for honoring us in this way. And to the Master Sergeant, please don't let the fire marshal in. So I'd like to start by a round of applause for Team MIRC. Ryan and Travis, Major Bateman, I can't name all of you. Team MIRC, thank you so much. You know, for me, it was coming back home and starting where it all began. And so thank you so much for allowing me to have it here and for the opportunity for my family and friends to see the power of this community. Before I say anything about my career, I'm going to break protocol and I'm going to start with my family, because if I can get past that, then all bets are good. To my husband, my beloved, I heard you say the combat veteran, the father, and so I'm not going to repeat all of that. What I can say is, you know the Army better than a lot of people, because you saw it from every angle, from the leadership out front to the leadership behind the scenes. You are my most stalwart supporter, and I could not have done this without you, period. Your counsel, your perspective, and your steady support is what carried me through the moments to this journey. I would not be standing here without you. I say that all the time. You say no, I say yes, it's a battle. But I do know that. Because he shared a story that I didn't really want him to share, I'm going to share the rest of that story. Because although General Potter was very nice in saying that the rest is history, blah, 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 Private Borras, just coming back from Korea, full of vim and vigor, said, I don't need you guys need me. I'm the Spanish speaker. Tell me when you guys decide whether you want me to be here or not. And then Operation Just Cause and everything else that kicked off before that. And all of a sudden, having a Spanish linguist was kind of cool.
Being good looking didn't hurt you.
And yet, in our house, there are 6 magic words, and then Patrick's FPL that my son has adopted, but since I completely and utterly outrank me, he knows never to say it because it'll just be a complete cheetah moment, and he knows that. But in our house, the 5 magic words is an opportunity to keep us humble. And it's, you were right, I was wrong, I am sorry. It reminds us that no matter how big we are, no matter how much we do, humility starts at home. Humility starts the path to kindness, and humility is what allows you to lead soldiers and to help their families and to become a part of their life. But I did say FPL, and he is wearing them today. And his FPL is,
I am the master rated parachutist in this house.
I wanted to give him time to say that. But gentlemen, if you can make it happen for me right now. My husband has this list of whiskeys that he tracks down and that he tries to get. And everywhere he goes, these 2 bottles, he has decided he was never worthy to get. They're very hard to find, and it took us a while. I want to give those to you for 2 reasons. I have champagne at home to celebrate, but I'm pretty sure that having me home every day, working in the basement, and intruding on your day is going to require the whiskey. To our children, you have grown up in this Army as much as I have. Military children understand sacrifice more than anyone in the world. They didn't choose this life of service, but they stand the watch with us, dutifully and faithfully, every single day. Through countless moves, deployments, long absences, you name it, you carried the weight. You carried the weight of my life, a soldier's life, with strength and grace. Our eldest son chose to follow that path himself. As you can see, serving as an Army Ranger, showing me today how he gets to wear his jump boots and I don't. His courage and service fill our entire family with pride. Thank you for following in our footsteps. But each of you have built your own life, your own path, and your own families. To my daughters-in-law, thank you so much for loving and supporting our children the way that you do. And to our grandchildren, who keep us young by reminding us every day that family and life continues long after the uniform is retired. I look forward to charting new adventures with each and every one of you. You are my greatest legacy. My children, my grandchildren, you are my greatest legacy. I continue to do what I did for you, for the freedoms that you have, for the opportunity that I hope for you, and for everything that comes in between. I am so happy to have been chosen to be your mom. Okay. My parents aren't here, but I know they're watching. They would definitely be watching. Everything I became began with them. Their values, their kindness, their grace, their presence, even at the lowest of the lows, taught me and my sisters that you can be a soldier and you can be kind. You can travel the world, but never forget where you came from. And the love of my sisters who, although we drive each other crazy, they're the ones who remind me, continue today, to remind me of the love and the values that this all started with. To my in-laws, Ron and Peg, who are watching, thank you for welcoming me into your family those years so very long ago. And for the constant love and encouragement you have given me and all of us through this chapter and this Army life. And to the entire Keogh clan watching, there's a lot of us, thank you for surrounding us with love and laughter. You helped regenerate Terry Borras during those times, and I truly appreciate it. I wrote a note here that says, woo, I didn't think I would make it this far, but obviously I did. But only after recognizing my family can I really talk about my time in the Army. Because 40 years is a really long time. And people ask me, what do I remember the most? And the truth is, it isn't the assignments, it isn't the titles, it isn't the travel, although some of that has been really cool and awesome. I won't lie about that, Vicenza, I'm just saying. It's the lessons learned from soldiers and from moments in history that shaped how we lead and how we serve. People like Christy Nixon, who dragged me into General Officer Corps, kicking and screaming, because she refused to say no to my lack of self-confidence. To Dusty, who continues to be my lifelong friend and everything we've gone through. Ma'am, for watching you walk the footsteps of history and hoping to follow them as gracefully as you have. To Melissa Hathaway, and I'll affectionately call you the Coven over there, for showing me that life after the uniform is just a different chapter. It doesn't necessarily have to be a different book. And the possibilities that will come as a way. So as you've seen in the program, and countless people have said, my story started on 13 March. And it just seemed fitting, today being 13 March, I don't know about the, Friday part, but being 13 March that I would have the ceremony today. But in 1986, the world felt tense and divided. The Cold War was still very real. When I joined, my path was simple. Serve one term and then return to university. That's what I promised my dad. I had a 4-year scholarship to become a mechanical engineer, full ride. When I gave that up to enlist, my dad was a tad bit furious, and that's putting it very mildly. Just think Desi Arnaz in one of those moments, and that's where we're at, okay? But the last thing he expected was for one of his daughters to serve. And I remember right before I left for basic training, I asked him, why would you think that? You served. You put in time for the benefit of freedom. Why wouldn't one of us feel the same calling? Wasn't something he never thought of. In his mind, I had traded a respectable engineering career, making lots of money, for trudging in the mud and getting yelled at by drill sergeants. Looking back, he wasn't wrong. Wasn't wrong. But at that moment in my life, the Army was asking something of powerful young Americans. It was the first time we heard, be all you can be. And something about that call spoke to me, and I answered it. And it turns out I like being a soldier way more than an engineer. And I don't think I did too badly at that. So I began my life as an enlisted soldier, and those years shaped me in ways that I can never fully repay. They cemented what my parents taught, what right looks like when no one is watching, what leadership feels like from the ground level, and how trust is earned every single day through every single action. Those experiences are what stayed with me throughout the rest of my career. Even after I became an officer, I never stopped thinking of the lessons I learned as an enlisted soldier and the privilege of leading, the true privilege of leading America's sons and daughters. The most important thing those early years taught me was this. Leadership begins with understanding the people you serve. And none of that cements it more than when soldiers give you things or when soldiers tell you things. And so as I left my enlisted career and started my officer career, I showed up at my new unit, and what was waiting for me was a classic G.I. Joe, right? And you think, well, kind of that's cool. Until you look inside and you see it's a first edition female G.I. Joe. And not only that, she has a beret. And so I've carried this thing with me forever. It's probably worth a lot, but it's worth the emotional thing for me. And it was amazing to receive that gift, to have them cement in their minds what I was to them. Because when I joined the Army, it looked very different. It looked very different for women than it does today, maybe. Opportunities were limited, and expectations were incredibly narrow. But over time, I had the privilege of watching that change unfold. Doors that were once closed slowly opened, not because policy changed overnight, but because soldiers proved every single day, women proved every single day that we could do the job, period, end of story. Watching that change reminded me that leadership isn't just about doing your job well. It's about making sure the path is better for those who come after you. So being the first woman in that special operations unit and charting a path, not just intellectually, physically, in PT, on a run, every single day, uniform better than everybody else's, that's what it took to open other doors, and I was happy and privileged to do so. I was fortunate to walk through those doors so that those earlier generations of women who had just squeaked it open could see that I'd helped it squeak it more. I always felt the responsibility to push the doors even wider for soldiers, and I know that they will follow. Early in my career, special operations units didn't have women. They didn't even want to talk to women, other than somewhere else. But when those formal restrictions were enacted, they failed to see the power of what we could add and provide to the mission. And we have shown that through every single deployment since. The standards remain high, the missions remain demanding, and trust matters more than anything else. I remember one moment after a long briefing when a team leader pulled me aside, right? So, think poster child. And he said, look, Terry, if we're gonna take this information that you've given us into the field, we need to know that you believe it. That moment stayed with me as an intelligence officer, analyst and officer more than anything else, because their lives depended on what I said I believed. Because intelligence is not about producing reports, it's about giving soldiers the confidence that they need to make the decisions that they need to make when lives are on the line. I never took that duty lightly. But over the course of my career, I have had a front row to history as it unfolded. I arrived in South Korea at the tail end of the Cold War. At Fort Bragg and across Central America, I saw how fragile stability can be. Later in Europe, across different chapters of my career, I watched alliances adapt and old tensions return in new uniform. And that's you, my attaché family. The partnerships we build every single day enables the world from coming apart. And there's nothing more important than that. But one memory from those early years has always stayed with me. I still have the pass, allowing me to cross Checkpoint Charlie. I was gonna bring it, I forgot it, just to show everybody. But think about that moment. You needed a pass to walk across the street. To be able to look at a small piece of paper, worn with time, yes, but reminding me of standing in that city, divided by concrete and wire, guards watching every movement, people speaking carefully, two systems staring at each other across a wall that looked permanent. Even then, you could sense something was shifting. That wall looked unmovable. But people I know sitting here in this audience risked their lives to change it, and the world is better for it. History began to move it, and history is a powerful thing when it gets going. It is a powerful reminder that what feels permanent in the moment rarely is, and that the quiet work soldiers do today often shapes the world people live in tomorrow. As the years went on, responsibilities grew. One of the greatest responsibilities of my career was helping prepare soldiers and families for missions that would take them all over the world. As the former CG of this organization, there is no greater privilege than having to do that every day. Whether working with partners overseas, supporting commanders in complex environments, or helping young leaders develop their own approach to leadership, the focus was always the same: taking care of soldiers and making sure they had what they needed to succeed. Because leadership in the Army has never really been about position. It has always been about responsibility. There's a theme. The greatest privilege of this career has been the opportunity to serve alongside soldiers. They trusted me with their ideas, their concerns, and sometimes their fears and problems. Any success I had as a leader came from listening to them, learning from them, and doing my best to make sure they had the support they needed to accomplish their mission. When I became a general officer, I received another care package. And it was interesting because, oh, sorry, I should show it to you. They're the Wonder Woman cuffs, right? 1-star Wonder Woman, get the theme. But it was interesting because the same group that gave me that called not too long ago to say, whether you're wearing stars on your shoulders, or whether you decide to wear the cuffs, or whether you're simply wearing a civilian clothes, that rank does not define who you are. The person that we have known is the person we remember. Please take that with you everywhere you go. If there's one thing that I hope I did well, it was helping younger leaders grow into the responsibility of caring for their own soldiers, because that is how the Army sustains itself. One generation of leaders helping the next one to grow. I also want to acknowledge my Hispanic community. Throughout my career, I knew I carried more than my own story. I carried the hopes of people who rarely saw themselves reflected in senior leadership. Being nominated as the first Puerto Rican woman for 2-star rank was never about personal ambition. It was about opportunity and possibility. It was about showing young people in this community that their story could include leadership and service at the highest level. The universe obviously has other plans for me, and I accept that with humility and peace. What matters most is that the path has been laid for those to follow, and I'm really, really happy about that. When I think about legacy, I'm almost done, I promise. When I think about legacy, I don't think about positions or promotions. Legacy is the leaders you help develop. Legacy is about paying it forward. Legacy is about preparing the next generation to take the mantle. The people who carry forward the lessons that you learned and are able to continue to exercise those lessons on behalf of themselves, others, our nation, that's legacy. And if those leaders go on to do all of the amazing things that I know that they will, then that is the only legacy that really matters. When I look across these 40 years, I see people. Soldiers standing watch in different places, families holding everything together back home, leaders who showed me what right looked like when it mattered most. This Army gave me purpose. It gave me lifelong friendships, and it gave me the privilege of serving alongside extraordinary men and women who choose something bigger than themselves. My Army story began on 13 March 1986, and it comes to a close 13 March 40 years later. Not many people are given the gift of beginning and ending such an important chapter of their lives on the same day. I may take off the uniform, but the Army will always be part of who I am. Thank you, all of you, for trusting me to serve. Thank you for walking this journey with me. And thank you for allowing me the privilege of a lifetime to serve alongside you as a soldier. And in so doing, I'd like to finish that out by having my son come to the middle of the room so that my last salute is to him. Thank you.
Sorry to do this unscripted moment, but I'm sitting here and I'm watching everyone look at my mom with such admiration, and so I have to say something. So, because she's holding it together too well, and I want to see tears. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Shannon. Brigadier General Aida T. Borras is my mom, and having Brigadier General Aida T. Borras as my mom is truly no easy feat. She, much like a general, she is very demanding, very dedicated, and she's very determined and pushes me hard because she expects a lot of me. And I know this because she knows that the world expects very little of me, truly. Because today is not just a celebration of an exemplar general, a dedicated leader, or a decorated soldier. It's a celebration of a woman. And she's a woman who truly saw her future as more than just the four walls of her tiny apartment in the Bronx. And she took every, you can't, you couldn't, you won't, as she will, she could, and she can. And I just wanted to shed light on the fact that my mom is not Brigadier General Aida T. Borras because she won a golden ticket out of a chocolate bar. She's here because she put in 40 years of hard work, dedication, and she just embodies what it means to be a leader. She's inspiring, she acts with integrity, and she makes the tough decisions. But above all else, and aside from her career and all that, she has remained truly kind, caring, and human. You are all here today not because you're forced to be or not because you have to be or someone told you. You're here because you want to be. And at one point or another, your life crossed paths with my mom, and it changed your world for the better. She saw you as she sees you, a human being. She treats you as such, and the biggest lesson I will continue to learn from my mom is that the cost of leadership and success and the true meaning of leadership and success is not at the sacrifice of your morality or your humanity. It's because of those attributes that you're able to truly lead and succeed. And life is not measured by the medals that you wear on your chest or the plaques that you put on your wall. It's measured by the amount of lives you touch in the process. And I think that today is just a beautiful representation of that and how much of an impact that my mom has had throughout her career. My mom is not just an incredible ambassador for the Army or United States or Puerto Rico, but an incredible ambassador for our species. I know that everyone deep down looks to my mom as I do, as Wonder Woman, as you saw. And my mom will always be my North Star, not only as a means of measure of my successes in my life, but also as a reminder to remain true to my values and my morals, and to be true to who I am. I hope that everyone today will leave here and continue to look to my mom as a reminder that it is never a waste to care, it's never a waste to be kind, and it's never a waste to be human. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the singing of the Army song and remain standing for the departure of the official party. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. We invite you to enjoy the receiving line, which will be in the front of the room, to congratulate Brigadier General Borras and her family. And Brigadier General Borras invites you to attend the reception immediately following, where food and beverages are available in the adjacent rooms to your right. Thank you again for joining us today for the retirement ceremony of Brigadier General Terry Borras.